Oh, I did filibuster to 9:15. I'm right there. Good work by me. Okay. All right. Time, as always, bat and lead off. It's KCD. We find out where KCD, where you be. And this does not look like a place where an Owen would be looking for chicken or anything.
Well, it's a little confusing because look behind me. I've got a little Tar Heel Ramesses action going on. So I just got out of my office. I just got out of my office. I needed a change of scenery. Needed to have some Tar Heel behind me. So yeah.
All right, we're down. We got it. Okay, just checking. And the rundown. Oh, I heard him.
Okay, relax.
No,
relax. First time he's ever done that. Lay down.
Got a studio audience this week. Oh no, he either wants to go OUT or he wants.
He heard something.
He probably heard either OUT or TREAT or something like that.
Maybe.
So live studio audience for KCD this morning, and since this is a pet friendly zone, that's perfectly fine. This morning, wanted to go over the ACC with you. Wanted to go over the NWSL because I think somebody said something about Kansas City last week.
I may have.
And we got to talk about that. And we'll go over what happened in the opening round. And if we have some time left, we'll talk about what happened in Major League Soccer in the opening round of best of threes. Since we're in an international window, they get a week off, and then they get to think about it all over again. Okay. As you said, it was you and OG Glenn Davis here at the network. And you guys were at Cary and calling Stanford. And this game went for a while. I'm just going to go ahead and say that it went for a while when it was not a 90-minute contest. It went for a while with Stanford and Notre Dame. And to let everybody in on this one, you get a goal on the 29th when Ali Montoya gets a goal. She was a sub, comes in, gets a shot past the keeper to make it 1-1. Jasmine Ike gets to double the lead at 2-0 in the 47th, and that was the Ike goal was nuts. By the way, that all she needed was about that much room, and she got it and went left foot and went. It's not quite upper 90, so it might be like upper 75 or something like that. Keeper got a hand on it, made it 2-0. But then Notre Dame comes back. Izzy Engel gets it to 2-1 in the 69th with her second. And then you get an equalizer in the 75th, which we will do compare contrast after we play said highlight, because this one was crazy, courtesy of our friends at the ACC Digital Network, and our friends at ESPN.
Drives it in. Is there a glancing header? Is there a finish? It's for the upper corner. It's 2-2. The comeback is not complete, but they have tied it up. Notre Dame has produced again here.
Well, Charlie Codd comes up incredibly pivotal in this moment. It's a great ball. It's hit on a rope. It's deflected out off Chuklu's head. But the organization at the back post is exactly what Codd is supposed to do. Make sure nothing bounces through. But she says, I'm going to do a little more than that. I'm going to get a strike on this right into the side netting to equal things up here in the second.
Totally have wrestled now the momentum away from Stanford.
Oh, look at that technique. Right as it hits the ground, Glenn. Great technique from Codd.
For those that might not know this particular highlight and go back and research it, Charlie Codd picked it up on the short hop and put enough on it. And you don't really see it until you catch the replay and it slows down. That's how much attention to detail she had and how purely she got it off the ground on the short hop to give it enough momentum to go far post with it over the keeper. The second goal was nuts. The fourth goal in this game equally as nuts. Okay, which goal? The second one that made it 2-0 or the equalizer at 2-2? Which one was crazier?
Ooh, that's a hard question. I would say I'd lean towards Jasmine Ike's, the second goal, just the type of bend it had on it to go up over the crossbar, dip back down in. Like, I just love that technique and not much space to be able to make it happen. Charlie Codd's was pivotal, though, as I mentioned, because it was the equalizer, and she hit a very hard spinning ball after her first touch, and it had a little bit of a backspin on it. So both very good, but I would lean towards the left-footed one for sure.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you're a lefty, you gravitate toward that left foot. It's I like that. I appreciate that as a lefty in this process.
I'm not a lefty, but I'm giving you guys some credit.
I mean, that's just how we roll. It's we're off center anyway, and so that's just that was made it 2-2. Then it goes for a while in PKs, and it ends up with a win after PKs. And what was it? The sixth frame? Did it went 6? Is that right? 5-4.
It did. Okay. It did. And Charlotte Kohler had the winning penalty kick for Stanford, and she had the 2 goals in the semifinal as well. So had an incredible tournament, but stepped up really big in a pressure moment.
And so you end up with Monday at 4, meaning yesterday. Last year, 9 ACC teams made the field. All 4 in the Women's College Cup represented the conference. And because of that information, 9 ACC teams are selected to the 2025 Soccer Championship. 3 number 1 seeds, 9 ACC teams in the 64-team bracket. Notre Dame, Stanford, Virginia all get ones, marking the first time since 2019 the ACC claimed 3 of the 4 top seeds. 5th straight year, the ACC has had multiple number 1 seeds. 8 of the 9 teams in the field earned top 8 seeds and hosting rights. Notre Dame at 14-1-3 gets their 31st appearance over the last 33 years. First ever appearance in the title match of 2025's Women's Soccer Championship. Izzy Engel, we've talked about her. Stanford, 16-1-2, gets their 34th appearance, second straight as an ACC member. Virginia, 12-3-4. Duke, 13-4-1. Florida State, Wake, Clemson at 7-5-5 after missing the postseason last year. North Carolina at 12-6. They are in as well. So 9 teams from the ACC. Sound about right?
It does. Cal is the team that's left out. They were the potential 10th team. I believe that Kentucky got in over Cal because of their higher finish in the ACC and their run in the SEC tournament, where Cal, finished outside the ACC tournament. They had a lot of ties. They were very close in RPI, but I kind of feel like that was the one that kind of bumped them out in that moment. It's interesting because then you go to strength of schedule as well, because Clemson gets in at 7-5-5, and Cal's ties really were their undoing with less losses, but the wins weren't quite there. So it's just always a little bit interesting, but the ACC is very well represented. I think Duke, even to a degree, made a case for almost a number 1 seed. It could have been 4-4. They were close. I'm happy for Virginia, Notre Dame, Stanford, all spent time at number 1 in the nation at some point this season, and they maintained it through a gauntlet of ACC games as well.
And so you look at how things are. A lot of ACC teams with their home games. I don't know if you've had a chance to really look at the bracket in depth at all, but I'm anticipating, obviously, because of the bulk nature of the ACC, I'm still anticipating a lot of teams making runs deep into the tournament. I'm still looking at, those teams toward the bottom. I have a concern. And like I said, I'm just staring at it being very, very surface in my analysis, looking at it when you've got a team that comes in at 7-5-5 and you're kind of going, I don't know about that. Clemson, to me, would be the one that I would probably circle early on to sit there and have a concern about. But once again, all these ACC teams with the home games out of the blocks, obviously that's going to be something to keep an eye on in round number 1.
It certainly helps. Carolina is the one team that is not hosting, which I find a little bit interesting considering they finished 7th in the ACC. Some of the records of Wake and of Clemson to get hosting rights, but sometimes that's just the way that works out. I like to think it's not my bias, but I'm also sitting here with Ramesses behind me and a Carolina mug, so you never know. But what I will say is that a lot of the ACC teams that are outside of those top 4 seeds, so the top 3 number 1s in Duke, their second round matchups tend to look a little harder than Carolina's second round matchup. They're just the team that's not hosting. So I think you're right that it's going to be interesting to see where teams match up, especially in the second round. I think there's some interesting first round ones. Louisville has to play Kentucky. I think that is a very harsh first round game. I know I mentioned that Kentucky kind of played their way in this last month, but the SEC is so competitive. And then you put a team that finished 6th in the SEC versus Louisville. I think that's a really rough first round game for Louisville, but hey, if you want to go far, you've got to beat everyone along your path and get there. So they'll take it on, I'm sure.
No doubt. That low right bracket, since we're there, Duke is in a mini bracket with Elon as their first round opponent. Then it's the winner of Maine and UCF. You mentioned U of L and UK. Winner of that one gets the winner of Cal Baptist in Kansas. Then Virginia's got High Point, Army, and Penn State in their mini bracket, low right. Clemson has Liberty, and then if they survive there, it's Tennessee Tech and Vanderbilt. Then North Carolina and Tennessee. I don't know why it is, but they always seem to loop back with each other. It's just,
I know. I will say this, as a North Carolina alum, I love this matchup because they played earlier in the year. Tennessee won. So it is just genuinely harder for a team to repeat those types of wins against top teams. And then you don't look at that game and think you're just going to go past it if you're North Carolina, because they've already proven that they can lose to a team that's as good as Tennessee. So Tennessee has a chance to prove how good they are here, but Carolina gets a bit of a reset. The other one is Wake, South Carolina. That is another first round matchup for us in the Southeast that I think is incredibly harsh in some ways for South Carolina. They had a great year, but they did not make a run in the SEC tournament. I think that hurt them a little bit. So they have a team like Wake Forest coming in with the ACC Freshman of the Year, playing very well, and some veteran players as well that are performing of late.
Wake, South Carolina, that one is on the 14th at 6 o'clock. The winner of that one gets Milwaukee and Michigan State in the 2-7 mini bracket. Then right-hand side, I'm scrolling up. Right-hand side's fairly safe. From there, now upper left, Notre Dame gets UIC, Illinois, Chicago. Winner of that one gets the winner of Ohio State and Georgia. So that could be a fun second-round matchup. You've got Florida State and Samford. So Samford goes to Tallahassee. Winner of that one gets Lipscomb and Mississippi State. Then West Virginia, Wagner, Sacred Heart, and Georgetown is upper left. So, yeah, I'm looking at, I've always wanted to be in the room where it happened, to kind of paraphrase from Hamilton, just to kind of see. Yeah, so if we pair up Louisville and Kentucky, just to sit there, it's like, why would you, let's do that in the first round. No, there's no history there at all. Let's just go ahead and pair them together. And the North Carolina-Tennessee one really did stick out to me. It's like, wait a second, haven't we seen this one before? But we get to see it again in the postseason.
I think with UNC just dropping as low as they did in the RPI, it hurts Tennessee in some ways, but North Carolina has a lot to prove. They have 6 losses on the year, so they have not had the year that they would want to have. But with the Louisville, Kentucky thing, I think you also, and Wake, South Carolina, you're also looking at the regionalization of the tournament as well. And I know it's incredibly hard to be on that committee, because you're looking at all the seeding, you're trying to understand the powers of the conferences, strength of schedule, and then you're looking at the regions as well. So it's an incredibly hard thing to put a 64-team bracket together. And I don't think that there were too many misses here, to be quite honest, especially with teams being out of the entire bracket. I think that it was relatively right this year.
Okay. Hang on just a second. I'm taking care of a bot that decided to drift into it's like literally
that's not allowed.
No, it's not. And so we're sitting here and we're going, I can't even spell solicitation yet this morning. So okay, that 23 characters, submit report, blocked and reported, and thanks to everybody else who has blocked and reported. Okay. All right, let's get into the NWSL. KCD, where she be in her office, and has a bit of a different backdrop this morning, and she also has a live studio audience. We're waiting for round number 2 from someone who wants a WALK. NWSL, when we talked last week, you were looking at the matchups and just in general, and you had mentioned that you didn't think that Kansas City would make it to the last game of the year. As it turns out, they did not. And it was a 2-1 extra time win by Gotham in Kansas City. So Kansas City, with all the things that we've talked about, Kansas City this, Kansas City that, they've been absolutely incredible. They are out the door and they get to watch like the rest of us. That to me was an absolute stunner. And the fact that you end up with the goal as late as you did in that one at 120+1 from Stengel after the equalizer at 90+6 from Wheeler. Jaden Shaw scores at 68. Wheeler scores at 90+6. Stengel scores at 120+1. Gotham's moving on. Kansas City staying at home. That was a stunner to me.
The fact that I felt that Kansas City Current could fall in the playoffs after the year they have doesn't necessarily speak to Kansas City not being able to do it. It more speaks to the parity in the league and how tight the margins are. So when you give teams, players, staffs a clean slate, it's like this renewed life that comes back into you as a player, that it's one game and we go after it. Then you see that Gotham drops to 8th. Gotham plays with a chip on their shoulder. I think more than any team in the league, they have that little bit of an edge. And it's epitomized by a player like a Jalen Howland midfield, who's a Florida State Seminole. She is a disruptor. She covers ground. She plays with this intensity and passion, and it's infectious. And so I just felt like this matchup was set up for a bit of disaster for the Current. And credit to them, they still figured a way to come back and tie it. They go all the way till seconds before penalty kicks. So it takes everything Gotham has to take them out.
Yep. And each team obviously was missing players. Tim Washington, Michelle Cooper out for KC, and Esther Gonzalez, who was wearing a big puffy coat on the sidelines, was out for Gotham. But Gotham moves on, and Kansas City stays at home. In the other matchups, it was, you had Racing Louisville putting up a fight, and they did a tremendous for their first ever appearance in the postseason. Washington wins in PKs 3-1 to advance there. The other Sunday match, once again, Portland over San Diego. That one goes in extra time. Portland gets the win there. They continue their history of runs in the NWSL playoffs. 90 minutes, nothing happened. Then you end up with free football, and you end up with opening minutes of extra time. Olivia Moultrie, who recently signed a long-term deal. She's going to be staying, I think it's through 29, if I remember correctly. Sends a cross in. Rylan Turner gets her head on it, puts it past Kaylin Sheridan. Thorns get the lead. Cascarino, Dolly, and Maroney couldn't get things going. Portland midfield with Sam Coffey gets it rolling there. And so San Diego out. Portland forward. Once again, it's one of those that after 90 minutes, you just kind of have to hang on to the seat and make sure that your seatbelt's fastened for what's going to happen after that.
And for those that aren't aware, the 4 teams left are the last 4 NWSL champions. Oh. So from the last 4 consecutive years, which is pretty exciting. You're right, though. Washington didn't have Trinity Rodman. She was on the bench, but I don't know if they ever had any plans of putting her into that game because it took it all the way to penalty kick. She wasn't involved. So they were also missing a player, figured it out against a good Racing Louisville team. San Diego was the one team I thought might be able to win besides Gotham. I expected Orlando. I expected Washington. San Diego just couldn't quite handle Portland. And I tell you what, Portland figures it out. And a big part of that is Olivia Moultrie and just her coming into a great part of her career. I don't even know if I can even say she's in her prime because she's still so young. No. And I remember seeing her at 12, 13 years old playing up on youth national teams and just thinking this player has a future. And I probably even understated it a little bit, knowing what she's done and how quickly that she has done it and adapted and has become a player that the Portland Thorns rely on.
Orlando beat Seattle 2-0 in the other one. So Orlando moves on, Spirit move on, Gotham move on, Thorns move on. And so that sets up the Final Four with the last 4 champions in this one. And so Washington and Portland, noon Saturday kick ahead of all of the other college football, FOOTBALL, and that's at Audi Field. I don't know if they're going to have the cup snakes in the end zones at Audi with Spirit and Portland, Orlando and Gotham, and this one is in Central Florida. When you look at these 2 matchups, I know you could pretty much just take a blanket and sit there and just go over all 4 of them, but when you look at these 2 matchups, what sticks out?
Well, all 4 in their own right could advance to the championship. I will say that.
Yeah.
For me, I believe Gotham and Washington come out unscathed on these. I just think that Gotham is one of those teams that when they get on a roll, they get going. But certainly not to count out the Orlando Pride or Portland Thorns in any way, shape, or form. But I just Maybe it's because I just think that would be such a crazy matchup in the championship. I think it would be chippy. I think it'd be a lot of end to end. So that kind of excites me. One thing I do need to say that I didn't reference with Orlando, Luana got her first goal after 18 months of battling Hodgkin's lymphoma for the Orlando Pride. I'm not crying. You're crying when I was watching that. But I thought it was unbelievable. Mike Watts had an amazing call. I think he said something along the lines of Marta ran 100 yards so Luana could score from 12. And she drew the penalty kick. Just amazing stuff to watch. So not only just all of this soccer in and of itself that is fun to watch in the NWSL, but moments like that just on the human level are pretty incredible.
I mean, Marta is what? I mean, obviously she's a massive veteran, but I don't know when her engine quits. I really don't.
She is very close to my age. She's only a little younger than me. And we played against each other a lot throughout the years, over in Sweden for a couple years and in the WPS. And I'm going to be honest with you, I don't know how she's still out running people. It's pretty unbelievable. I think she has that, obviously has the physical capabilities, but she has that determined spirit as well, and just the fighter in her. And it's pretty incredible to watch.
Yeah. According to the DOB that is given by the league, she's 39.
Okay. Not much younger.
Well, but what I'm saying is, there are some places where you'll sit there and it's like, yes, here's the birth certificate, wink, wink, and it's 39 is what she's listed at. But the fact that she still has this motor that she has at 39 is insane to me.
And it's inspirational for her teammates as well, that when you have a leader like that who's won at every level individually, and she's led teams to some of the hardest parts of this game and how to compete, you watch her sprint 100 yards almost to beat two players, draw a penalty, and she's at the age she's at. If you're 21, 22 in the league, you're going, well, I guess I need to give everything too. If Marta can still do it, I got to get after it. And so that's an intangible to have on a team for Seb Hines as they go throughout this playoffs.
Yep. And, you mentioned Gotham in general. And for me, looking at a Gotham that is a low-seeded Gotham, it's just, I don't know who would discount Gotham regardless of the seed number. It's like, oh, yeah, they're like a 7. They're an 8. Yeah. No, you don't understand. This is not how this works. The math in the NWSL this season was crazy to get us into the postseason. And if you flinched, then you dropped. If you didn't flinch, then if you had a good week, you could rocket up to 3rd. If you had something stumble and everybody else ahead of you did their business, you dropped to 8. And you end up with Gotham being what they were. But this is not a Gotham team that was, a low seed. This is just, it's just, at this point, you probably should just say it's just Gotham. It's just how they're wired.
I have to remind myself that they're an 8 seed anytime I'm talking about the playoffs, because there was a point late in the season where they could have been challenging Washington Spirit for 2nd. And we weren't ever talking about them winning the league because we know what the Kansas City Current did this year in 2025. But they have a coach in Juan Carlos Amoros who's been there, done that. They made some changes to get Jaden Shaw over, Rose Lavelle, Midge Purse. Then you have Stengel scoring game winners out of nowhere, and she has a knack for that. And so I just think they're a team that relishes the underdog. Even when they won in Ali Krieger's last year, they had that a little bit. And even if they're not considered an underdog, I think they play that up within of, we can do this. No one else thinks we can. Jaden Shaw had a little bit of a quote this week that said underdog by you know what, because people are talking about it in that way. But I think they use that as a motivator. I think they have the types of personalities that say, bring it on. We believe in ourselves. And that can be incredibly dangerous to face.
KCD is letting us know what's going on in the NWSL. By the way, the postseason awards, the finalists are out, and the fans have a 10% stake in letting everybody know what they think about this. And so since these names are out, we're going to go ahead and let KCD give her vote, because I don't know, as a member of the media, if you're a part of the 25% or if they have tapped you and said, yes, you can vote. If you can, then you can spoil them here. If you can't, then you get to tell them here, and you get to tell them why you should be voting. Okay.
I did get to vote. Yes.
Oh, you did? Oh, wow. Okay, cool.
I already voted.
Okay, so then, all right, so then let's run through them. MVP, Cascarino, Shawinga, Gonzalez, Matsukubo, and Zanerato from Kansas City.
Shawinga for me. Not only just her overall production, but her influence on that team.
No doubt. Defender of the year, Jordan Bugg in Seattle, Tara McEwen in Washington, Avery Patterson in Houston, Izzy Rodriguez and Kayla Sharples in KC.
Tara McKeown, Washington Spirit. I think there's a little bit of just what she's done for that team, the leadership role, but also her transformation to the center back over the last few years. I know I shouldn't look at that, but I'm human as well. And so you take the second place team in the league and what they've done, I think she gets it.
Keeper of the year, Ann-Katrine Berger, Claudia Dickey in Seattle, or Lorena in Kansas City.
Lorena, goals against. It's just incredible what Kansas City did, and she was a big part of it.
Ridiculous. Midfielder of the year, Kenza Dali in San Diego, Dabinia and Claire Hutton in Kansas City, Matsukubo in North Carolina, Olivia Moultrie in Portland.
Did we miss one? Was there a Dabinia in there?
Yeah, Dabinia and Claire Hutton, yeah.
Oh, you did say them together. Okay. So this was a hard one. I was between Manaka and Dabinia on this, and I went with Dabinia. The only separator for me was Kansas City. I just felt she led her team, and so we had to give her the nod on that.
All right, Rookie of the Year was down to 3. Maddie Darling in Seattle, Lily Real in Gotham, Riley Tiernan in Los Angeles.
Maddie Darling, baby. The reason is Riley Tiernan had more goals. Maddie Darlene had game-winning goals, and Seattle gets into the playoffs. She had some really big goals in the year. She also contributed on the assist side as well. She was really the full offense for Seattle in a lot of ways in big moments.
All right, Coach of the Year, Vlatko, Adrian Gonzalez in Washington, or Bev Yanez in Racing Louisville.
While I love what Racing Louisville did, and it was the first year, you've got to go with Vlatko. What he did this year was absolutely amazing. How do you do that and not win Coach of the Year? What do you have to do to win Coach of the Year if you have the season they did and not give it to him?
All right. Obviously, we got the semifinals this week in the NWSL, so we'll keep an eye on that. We'll talk about that coming back again next week, plus all the college stuff. Before you get out of here,
yes,
we had 5 games 3. I guess it's like Poets Laureate and Mothers-in-Law. It's like games 3. It's not game 3s.
Right.
So we had 5 games 3 in the opening round of the MLS playoffs. They're in an international window now, so they get to catch their breath a little bit unless they're trying to qualify for their country. And it was a battle of the extremes. Either it was blowout city, like we saw with Messi and friends taking care of Nashville, like we saw with San Diego taking care of Portland, and like we saw with NYC taking care of business against Charlotte, or it was a nail-biter where you're going into PKs and you're having goalie against goalie like you had with Minnesota and Seattle. And, then you have a lot of just the closeness. It was either one or the other in the opening games 3 with those last 5 on the board. What stuck out from you?
Oh my gosh. It was so entertaining watching these games. I think the one thing that really stuck out for me, and I think it's because I covered them quite a few times this year, was the New York City Charlotte matchup. Mm-hmm. I know what New York City can do, and I love Pascal Janssen and what he's done with that team. But to go into Charlotte twice and win, I thought was almost the impossible. And so for New York City to come out of that round of 3 series is pretty unbelievable. I thought Columbus had a chance too. I'm not going to lie, that last game. And I never put it by Wilfred Nancy. I think he's an incredible coach to be able to pull that off. But credit to Cincinnati for being able to withstand it.
So do you think Nancy goes to Celtic?
Ooh, I don't know. I hope he stays in the league. I really like him, but that would be a hard one to turn down.
Yeah, the printed reports, and take them for whatever salt shaker you have in your kitchen, has Nancy as like one of the leaders in the clubhouse to take over the Celtic gig. So we are definitely keeping an eye on that. All right, what's next 7 days looking like for you?
I have no games to call until the College Cup. So I've got a little bit of some off time right now, going to visit some family this weekend. I'm going out to LA. So I am very excited to recharge a little bit and then watch a lot of games, just be a fan.
No doubt. And we'll talk about it again next Tuesday. So on Monday, sit there and go, this is what I watched. So we'll talk about it then.
Exactly. That's why I could be more of an alum and a fan today, bringing out my UNC stuff. I'm not calling any games. doing nothing till the College Cup.
Yeah. This whole alumni thing. I don't know. You and Ramsey's and the mug and the art and everything. Thanks for dropping by. You always do bet and lead off on Tuesdays. Go take somebody into the kitchen because I know he wants a TREAT or he wants to go for another WALK.
Will do. Thanks so much.